Welcome to another Photoshop tutorial by photoshopeducation.blogspot.com. Today we're going to show you about the pen tool. In previous tutorial called Text Features, we showed you how to use the pen tool and create a path that you could actually type on. Today we're going to show you how to make a selection with the pen tool. We won't be discussing everything you want to know about the pen tool because it's probably one of the most frustrating tools in Photoshop. We don't want to bombard you with terminology. We don't want to bombard you with here's everything you know, everything you want to know about the pen tool, because you're just going to get frustrated. So we're going to take baby steps, and we will show you today how to make selections. We'll show you, talk about two different terminologies that you'll need to know going forward, and we'll probably actually have maybe 2 or 3 more tutorials strictly on the pen tool. But for now, we just want to show you how to make a selection. If you haven't already, download this PE-image JPEG file. You can scroll to the bottom of the blog and left click on Download Supporting Files. Once you have it, go ahead and open it up, and you'll see a red triangle and a blue shape on the bottom. And when you're done with this tutorial, we highly recommend that you actually scroll down to the bottom and take the 10-question quiz and see how much knowledge you remember from the tutorial. So let's get going. In a 2-column toolbox on the left-hand side, you'll notice it looks like a pen. Usually it shows a pen. And if you right-click on it, you'll see a pen tool and all these others. Don't worry, we're only going to show you about the pen tool today. Left click on the pen tool, or you could actually just say where the keyboard shortcut is P, and that would take you to the pen tool. First, we want to tell you about 2 different terminologies, and this is good for this tutorial and any up and coming tutorials on the pen tool. Let's go ahead and make this here and show you it drew a line. Well, great. Well, what does that mean? First of all, it's not really a line. We'll get to that in a second. But you'll notice these points are dots. The first one is always going to be a white background circle, and the next one's going to be gray, and the third and fourth will be always a gray until you close the path. Now, those points are actually called anchors. So they're not dots, they're not points, they're called anchors. Anchor here, anchor here. The line in between is not actually a line, it's actually called segments or segment. So that's all we want you to understand. This is a segment, these are anchors. That's all we need you to understand going forward, and we'll get you to the end here hopefully shortly. Let's go ahead and now make a selection around this triangle. The triangle was chosen because it's straight lines. We want to show you that there's a neat feature in the pen tool is you can actually make a segment, or using the anchor points, as a straight segment or straight line. First, you want to single left click the left hand corner of this triangle if you're following along. Now, we're not going to be perfect on this. If we wanted to, we could zoom in. We've showed you how to zoom and get that exact corner, but for today this is good enough. Now, if you hold down the shift key and you left click the next point, which is going to be the bottom right hand corner, you're telling Photoshop that you want to keep it as a straight line. So if you single left click, you'll notice this segment was created and it's straight. It's not perfect. You do see a little bit of red on the bottom there, but for now this is good. We're good to go. And do the same thing, hold down shift, left click on the top point, and when you left click on, about ready to left click on the bottom point and you're holding down the shift, you'll notice this O or a dot, an anchor dot we'll say, to the right of the pen. What you're telling Photoshop here is, hey, when I left click this, I want to close this path. Well, we want to do that. So hold down the shift key and left click the last point, anchor. Now we've just closed the path. Just so you're aware, you don't need to as long as you're hovered over the top of it, you don't need to actually hold down the shift key on that one. But we always recommend, if you're doing straight lines, hold down the shift key and then left click. Either way, you'll get the dot or the anchor point to the right of it. So how do we make this a selection? Very simple. Right click and you'll see this box come up. Left click on Make Selection. You'll see a new dialog box come up. And the most important area is here is this feather radius. What you're saying here is how far beyond the segments, we'll say, do you want Photoshop to look? And when it does go a little bit further beyond, it's going to blend it or blur it. So if I said, let's say 2 pixels, it's going to go 2 pixels beyond my segments and actually blur it with white. For now, we'll leave it as a 0 and we'll leave this as checked in the new selection. Just so you're aware, it actually makes it smooth on the edges. If you uncheck it, you'll see a little jagged. But if you're happy with it, go ahead and left click the OK button. If you're not, go ahead and left click cancel. For today, let's click on OK. You'll notice the marching ants. It's basically showing you you've now made a selection. So you can do whatever you want inside that selection, cut, paste, change the color, whatever you would like. For today, we're going to do a Control D, and that's going to deselect it. Now onto the curved pen tool. We still have the pen tool active. Left click on the first point here. Now it's very important here is what we're going to do is we're going to hold down the Shift key, which we know is going to create a straight line, but we're going to hold down the left mouse button. And then we're going to release the Shift key, but we're going to still hold down the left mouse button. So let's get to that point. About the center. Is this not going to be once again perfect? Hold down the Shift key and hold down the left mouse button. Holding it down the left mouse button, I release the Shift key. Now it's saying, hey, it's in, we'll say, more of a free form. I can actually bend this line. If you drag your mouse to the right, holding the left mouse button, you'll notice that it starts to drag that line. You can go up or down. As you drag to the left, it actually stretches it. I mean, if you drag it to the right, it stretches it to the left. Get it as close as possible. This one's not going to be perfect, but and then release the left mouse. Now there's a few ways you can do this. This last one, the easiest way, which is not going to be perfect, is you actually left click on the starting anchor. And what that's going to do is going to try to use the first area here and bring it back the same way. This may not be perfect, but it's the quickest way. Now if you wanted to actually make it perfect, do the same exact thing, is hold down the left mouse button and then drag it and line it up. For today, we just want to show you that you can do something very quick and dirty to get it pretty close, and just left click on it. You see that it actually went over the top here and did not select that. If we wanted to, we could come back and do one of these and try to get this right. I'm not going to, because I was too high on the top one here, but that's a little bit closer. You could play around with the first one to get it right. As you can see, it's coming up here. I selected this one actually too high. I should have brought it much lower. Once again, right click and then left click, make selection, and you've just created that selection. As we said, this is not everything you want to know about pen tool. We definitely know that. This is really just going over selection, get you an understanding of how you can bend the segments and how you can do a straight segment and how to make selections. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.